Today, we're going to use power scripts from C Prime to create a service that will automatically transition issues in Jira that are past a due date. So we're going to do that by creating a scheduled service or a script that runs on a specific interval or at specific days and times. So the first thing we should do is make a script, and I'm in my SIL manager in the schedulers interval cron folder, and we'll say transition past due, and I'm just going to get started by copying the code off this other script. And we'll say call this on a script on a set schedule. It will transition issues that are past due. So the first thing this script does is it grabs all the issues that we need to perform an action on. And it does that by running a jQuil query. So I've already started writing a jQuil query here, and it is looking at don't do anything. It's looking at a specific project. It's making sure the due date isn't empty, and the due date is older than today, so it's past due. So this is going to be our jQuil, and we can see we have 5 issues. And so we'll replace this it's quite a query that was here. The only thing we really need to do in a query like this is if there are quotes, we need to escape them using a backslash. However, there are no quotes in this query, so we're good. So what this script will do next is for string k and keys, so it'll loop through each and every issue that this jQuil query returned, and then this one goes into subtasks, so it's looking at, we don't need that. So all we need to do is see, we don't even need to look at the due date, because we already know by virtue of the jQuil query that these issues are past due. So all we need to do is close it. So before I write the next few bits of code, I need to do a little homework. So I've come into this workflow, which 4 or 5 out of the 5 or 6 issues were tasks. So this is the task workflow. And I'm seeing that it looks like most can go straight to the mark as done. Most steps can go to, so we're just going to use this transition. Then over here in the C Prime documentation, I'm going to use the auto transition function, and I need to pass the transition and the key that needs to be transitioned. And when I pass the transition, I can pass the ID or the name of the transition. So I'm just going to copy this syntax, and I'm going to use transition 61 because, quite frankly, there's less to type. So we'll say transition 61. Issue key is going to be K from here. So we're looping through, and each time we loop, we're looking at one issue at a time, and it's called K. Now I have a lot of validators and conditions from other videos, and what these last parameters do is it lets you set whether or not you want to stick to those validators and conditions, or just kind of pretend they weren't there. Now there is a true false returned from this statement, but I don't think we actually need to set it equal to anything. I think we can just call the function just like this, especially since nobody's going to be around to be watching this, because it's going to be running on a schedule. Now, what I've done in the past is you can actually kind of create your own log, writing to a text file or to the actual log that these issues were transitioned. But maybe that's kind of a little bit much for this particular video. So let's see. All right, so apparently I haven't made too many mistakes. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to come down to the scheduler. Now we have two options here. We can run in an interval or a cron. And a cron lets you say, I want to run it on Mondays at 6 o'clock. There's a special cron language or syntax, which I'm not very good at. So we'll just do interval, and we'll say, so if we wanted to run it once a day, we could say 24 hours like this. However, I'm going to run it one time with an interval of 5 seconds. So I'm going to take off this repeatable check mark, and when it runs once, it will delete itself. So I'm going to come into the schedulers, and we're going to transition past due. Now, I'm not going to hit schedule just yet. Oh, first thing, it's really good practice to run it as someone, because this script is basically running it anonymously, and if it is not set to run as a person who has permission to view the project, it won't be able to see the issues. So a lot of times I'll create a user account just for scripts like this to run, and all my scripts will use that user account. But before I hit schedule, I'm going to go back to these issues, and I think this one, 34, 5, 4, and 3, we should see something happen. 9, nothing's going to happen because it's already done. However, I can't guarantee that all steps go to that transition or have transition 61 available. So as long as we see something happen with 2 or 3 of these, we know we got it. So let's schedule. And unless I refresh the page, it's going to look just like this. We won't know anything happened. But hey, let's refresh the page, make sure. Yep, now it's gone. So that's an indication that it ran. Now I'm going to rerun this query. Hey, wow. They all changed to done. One was in progress, the rest were open. It worked. There are times when even I'm amazed. Anyway, that is how you create a scheduled service to do things like transition issues that are past the due date using power scripts from C Prime. Thanks for watching.